All right, welcome back, YouTube. In this video, I'm going to cover a number of things, but just to kind of give you the gist of it, we're going to take a look at what's happening right now, take a look at all of the positions, long, shorts, the previous trends, the current trend, and whether or not we can say that this bull run is over and we just had a underperformance in the crypto market, or if we can expect something kind of like later, or if this crypto cycle is just different from the ones before. So we're going to talk about all of that today in today's video. First, we're going to take a look here and take a look at longs and shorts and everything. So this is from a combination of these exchanges. Again, it's not indicative of all of them, but it covers the tone of the market, right? So right now we have long liquidations absolutely dominating, right? These are people who typically had long positions, and we're looking at around 8.5 million compared to short liquidations of 442.1 thousand in the last 24 hours, right? And we're looking at OKX, Binance, Bybit, Bitfinex, companies like that, exchanges like that. And it kind of gives you an idea of the ratios and kind of like the tone of the market for going on right now. We can take a look here at the long short here on the 5 minute. We'll have the comparison of them coming in. So this obviously hasn't updated yet, but we'll see this kind of get updated as the new data comes in. Right now it's showing 75 to 25 as far as for long versus short. But we see that the short, and if you can compare it to the actual price action on the charts, you'll see in a moment how we're seeing a mass liquidation across the board. And this is exclusive to Doge. You'll see this on Bitcoin as well, and which is kind of giving you an idea of the market to give you like a tone of the current trend, right? Open interest right now for Doge is 460.9 million, down almost 10% on the day. So you'll see here it is absolutely selling off. From about a month ago, you're looking at about 50% of the open interest that we had roughly about a month ago, right? So this is saying a lot, as far as for the change of dynamics overall in the market. Let's go to, I'm going to flip here to coin market cap just so you guys can see all of the trends. Make sure you're following with me. So a lot of times people like to kind of exclusively look into Doge and say, oh, okay, well, Doge is going down. No, this is Doge is still a top 10 coin, right? If Doge is selling off by this much, like in the last 7 days, 20%, and it's still in the top 10, that means that the entire market is going down. Because if this was a Doge thing, Doge would have fallen considerably, right? So in order for it to maintain that place, the other coins around it have to be doing similar things. So, and you can see the evidence of that here. It's a bloodbath across the board. Like this is, you can't necessarily blame retail on this. I'm sure retail is also panicking, and I can see it by even some of the comments on my channel. But this is a mass decision here to liquidate, right? This is not just retail. This is certainly on the institutional side as well. This is a mass decision here to liquidate here. And again, you have the similar trends, the sell-offs here. If you're looking at even Bitcoin and Ethereum, Bitcoin down almost 7% on the last, the 7-day percentage. Ethereum down 10. Let's see, BNB 11, Solana 12, almost 13%. XRP almost 10%. Toncoin 9%. Doge almost 18, and Cardano 9, almost 10%, right? So we're seeing this liquidation across the board here. I love to show this because I know some people that's kind of zone in onto only the coins that they own. So it seems like it's only kind of like happening to them, and that's simply not the case. This is a mass decision here to liquidate the market. So it's not a matter of fact, even the fear and greed index is now 38, right? So now we're getting more so into fear. So this here is a turn, because typically we were hovering around green for a while as far as for greed. So now we're having that fear and panic kind of come into the market. We'll talk about that in a moment. But again, I want to just cover a few things here before we dive into what I think, right? All right, so you should be able to see the chart now. So this is what we were talking about yesterday, right? This is pretty much where we were at the recording of the last video. The candle hadn't closed yet, and now we're forming a new one. This is what I meant by this gap here can fill. So we talked about the gap filling. It's looking like that is coming to be a true statement as far as fulfilling to the downside here. This is for Doge. We're going to take a look at Bitcoin in a moment. It's doing the exact same thing, and it's pretty much is a big factor as far as why the market is reacting like this way. But you'll see this was the current trend. We have to retest to the upside here of around 12.76, and we had a big move, not necessarily a big move, but we had a move a few days ago that indicated, okay, well, we could be in a position here to try and retest, but obviously that got rejected and we ended up closing lower, right? And that's the current trend that we're on right now. And you can take a look here at Bitcoin. And you'll see the same trend here. And this is what I meant by as far as breaking averages. Bitcoin is now below the 200-day moving average, right? So this is a massive break-in trend for a bull run, right? This is astronomical as far as for a sell-off and for this to be bull run season. So this is what I meant by the case for, like, as far as breaking trends and giving statements that we're no longer in a bull run. This is when we have these types of sell-off here, is giving evidence here that the tide has turned overall for the market. And Bitcoin being below the 200-day moving average is certainly a strong signal of such a thing, right? And this will be, so we can transition and talk about this now. So the biggest thing is, it leaves you with a couple options here. You can say that the bull run is over, right? And we just underperformed. This was the first underperformance of crypto, and since crypto's history, and the cycle here is just not going to be like the previous cycles. This is going to be a different cycle here. We ran early and the cycle's over, and that's it. And then we're going to have to just kind of wait until the next bull run, right? Or we can say, hey, this is just a massive sell-off. This one it's still going to run. It's still going to set new all-time highs, but it's just different from the previous cycles. And that's why similar to the reasons why we ran earlier, and that being different from the previous cycles, this is just simply going to be a different cycle. And it's going to be something that you can't completely chart and compare to previous cycles because it's just going to behave differently, right? And, that option is out there. And then there's a third option, which is, I'm giving you options as far as comments that I'm seeing and statements that are on X, and then I'll kind of weigh in what I think here. And the third option is the statement is going around that crypto's dead and it's all going to zero, and the end, right? So I definitely don't think crypto's dead and it's all going to zero. I don't think that's the case here. I think it could be a combination of the first two. So is it possible that the bull run is over and it's just simply a underperformance? It's certainly possible. But I do believe that this is something different from obviously it's something different from what we've seen before. And that's why it's behaving so differently. And that even on the charts here, it's now doing things that it has never done before, right? So initially we had the run up here. If you're looking at on the right chart, we had this initial run here. We ran early. Altcoins ran with Bitcoin here, and then we had a bunch of retests, many retests here to go higher, consistent rejections, right? So you can make the case, hey, Bitcoin is going down to around 52 to grab liquidity, and then we're going to run and do a retest. You can make that case. Or you can say, hey, this has never happened before. We're dropping below the 200-day. I think this is just going to be a underperformance for the crypto market this cycle, but I don't think crypto is dead. They can certainly make a case for that. Or you can say that, hey, we still have time based off of the averages. Let's just see what happens between now and Q4 and Q1 of next Q4 of this year, Q1 of next year, and see where we end up around, getting some legislation passed, getting some, if we're going to get like these ETFs, these option contracts, all that kind of good stuff, X payment, all of these things. Let's just see kind of what happens from there before we start, calling it. There's a case for that as well. I think it's somewhere in between there. I think the biggest thing as far as for what we're going to have to do as a community and even as an analyst, we have to look at this and say, hey, the truth of the matter is this is much different from what we've seen before, right? It started in January, February, and it gave the inkling that, hey, we were going to run early, and you can say, and we talked about it, possibly we could have a shorter bull run, but we would just simply start the run earlier, and then things we started trending sideways, and we were gearing up for leg two, and now we have this massive sell-off. These are things that has not happened in previous cycles. We didn't run that early. Altcoins didn't run with Bitcoin. Bitcoin typically ran first, and they lagged behind. We've seen so many things this run that it's obvious that this run is behaving and is much different from previous runs. And honestly, in hindsight, you should probably expect that once you have massive amounts of institutions coming in, because I'm not saying they weren't involved before, but when you have legislation being pushed in for these companies to not only invest in crypto and sell crypto assets, but now they also want to hold them. And so you can certainly say that at some point or not, we're going to have that transition from the behavior of what we've seen prior to institutional money coming in, right? So I think that is a strong case as far as what we're seeing here, and probably just a changing of cycles, to be honest with you. I think that we may not even be on that whole 4-year cycle anymore. I think that because if we are looking at because again, I don't think crypto is dead, but if we're looking at massive amounts of money coming into crypto and institutional investing coming into crypto, I don't believe institutions are going to pump a bunch of money in there, take up a bunch of assets, hold assets, and then be okay with something that they're designed to do, which is to make profit being cut by 50 to 80% and staying there for 3 years roughly, and then pumping again. I think that we are going to see a different cycle kind of come into effect, and probably it's going to be much shorter as far as for these sell-offs, and we'll see more of like a flatlining in pricing. I believe we'll still have sell-offs as we're working out legislations and all that kind of good stuff, but I think that as institutions come in here and start investing, as we start getting a lot of legislation in there, I think that we are probably not going to see those extreme sell-offs anymore, right? A lot of people saying that, hey, things are going to go to zero, or it's just, for me right now, it's just extremely unlikely. I don't see the largest institutions on the planet battling to hold these assets and invest in these assets, and then they magically go to zero. I just simply don't believe that. I just believe that we're probably seeing a change of the trend right now, permanently from what we've seen before. And that's why it's kind of throwing everybody off, and we're seeing all of these unprecedented things happening right now in the market. So as far as for crypto and what I'm doing, I don't believe it's going anywhere. I think that especially at below the 200-day moving averages, for me, again, it's just obviously not financial advice, but for me, I'm going to use this as an opportunity here to increase positions. I don't believe, again, I'm looking at what is this, Bitcoin right now. I don't believe that, I believe, because even if I was looking at something like Apple or a Microsoft or Amazon, and I'm long-term or something, and it drops below the 200-day moving averages, typically I'm excited about that. I'm not going to, unless I see some evidence here that crypto is dead, or if like BlackRock and all these other companies start abandoning or scrapping their ideas and say, hey, you're not interested anymore. You won't care about the legislation. Do what you want. Then at that point, I'll say, okay, well, maybe this is not going to have that institutional injection. But as long as I'm seeing interest there, then I'm going to be interested as far as we're in crypto. But as of right now, I'm not going to jump in just yet. I'll wait until we have some evidence here, maybe of of a bounce somewhere. Again, this is a gap for Bitcoin, and we'll see that reflected in other coins as well. So if these levels don't hold, then we're looking at roughly around 52,000 as our next area to gain liquidity. For Bitcoin, I believe, no, excuse me, for Doge, I believe we're at around 9 cents now. Let's see. Yeah, we be looking somewhere between high nines and low nines. If you know if that were to happen, so we'll see here. We're getting somewhat of a bounce here, but we'll be looking somewhere at around that 9 cent range. And again, we were bouncing off of the 200-day moving average. So until I see evidence though of a bottom, I'm going to hold off. But again, that's just kind of like the unprecedented thing as far as that's happening in this market right now. We're on great trends here. You'll see we had the unprecedented run here. Again, I think it was like 9 days straight where we were able to run. Again, this was early. Had the 14 crossing the 72. Then we came here, 14 went into the 72 and then never emerged out, and then got pushed down here, and we've been rejecting off of it ever since, right? So this is one of the things that we were talking about, which was this golden cross here with the 14 and 72. And we had the 14 emerge into the 14 into the 72, and then we literally the 14 has at that since then has pretty much become a resistant point, and we've been bouncing into it, rising above it slightly, but selling off and certainly bringing down the average here. And now, of course, we have the 14 crossing the 200. So we'll see how this plays out. Obviously, evidence of a strong reversal would be the 14 crossing the 200 and the 72 as well. So because if you're being technical, you'll say this is just a rejection, and this is obviously a death cross here, which it has a delayed effect, but we're seeing that play out. And you can see the same thing with Bitcoin. Let's see here. You'll have the 14 crossing the 72 here, which would be a death cross. The 14 has not crossed the 200 in Bitcoin just yet. If the 14 crosses the 200 in Bitcoin, yeah, just to get prepared to go lower there. That's something that we're going to have to watch for sure. But if we have the 14 cross the 200, that's a very strong death signal there. And we'll probably even be looking at going back into the 40s at that point. So again, but we'll see. And again, this is farther out here. We do have a level here around like 52 cents. So we could 52,000. So we could see a bounce there. But again, that's just something we're going to have to track and kind of stay in front of. So that being said, let me know. I'm going to do a poll in the community section and probably in the live as well. If you're going to be watching this live, and you can just let me know in the comment section. Let me know which of the three do you think? Do you think crypto is simply dead and it's going to zero? Do you think that this is just an underperformance of the crypto market for the first time ever, and this is just a bad cycle? It's just not going to perform like we thought, and we'll just have to wait until the next cycle? Or do you think this is just simply a case of delayed, not denied, and that because we still have time in the current cycle, we're going to see something around Q4 of this year, Q1 of this year, and we just need to be patient? Let me know which one of those three that you think in the comment section or in one of the polls if you care to vote. So that being said, we certainly have time to beat Bitcoin to 100,000 now. So if you have not, please consider subscribing to the channel so that we can do so. I appreciate all of you, and I'll see you guys in the next video.